I'm John Lanius. Welcome to The Room. The Room gives you access to Geniecast top thought leaders, authors, entrepreneurs, business coaches, sports celebrities, and much more. Our guests will share ideas and concepts that you may use to better your organization and propel your teams. My guest today is keynote speaker, author, life coach, and entrepreneur Simon T. Bailey. Success Magazine calls Simon one of the top 25 people to help you reach your life goals and puts him in the same category as Dr. Brené Brown, Tony Robbins, and Oprah. He is the author of several books, including Shift Your Brilliance, Harness the Power of You, and Simon challenges us to build a vision, find your spark, and transform into your potential. Simon, welcome to The Room.
Wow, so good to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, so just so the audience knows, Simon, you and I have had a chance to work on numerous things. I've actually been I've been a part of your presentations, which are always incredible. So really the first question I want to ask, I mean, you're a real guy. And so looking at your background, is that real or is that virtual?
It is a real background. This is real.
What I love about it is that it totally fits your personality, your vibrance, and all of that. So I just think it's fantastic. So let's start with your time at Disney. When you were the sales director at Disney Institute, at what point did you decide that you were going to transform your role into a keynote speaker, executive coach, and author?
Well, one day I was sitting at my desk and I got a call from a journalist. And whenever you work at Disney, you never talk to the media unless authorized. And he said, where do you see yourself 10 to 15 years from now? And I said, I see myself as the president and CEO of the Walt Disney World Resort and eventually the chairman and CEO of the Walt Disney Company. And he puts this in print. So the article comes out, page 12, Florida Business Trend Magazine, February 2002. And my boss calls me in the office. He said, what were you thinking when you did this interview, saying you wanted to be the CEO? And I said, Larry, I work at this company whose motto is, if your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme, for when you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are, but obviously it does here. So Disney didn't fire me that day. But HR showed up, asked me to sign a little piece of paper that went into my personnel file. And I think that's when my keynoting career started.
That is incredible. I love that. I love that. Well, you talk about developing a transformational skill set. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think it comes down to answering the number one question: what problem have I been created to solve? That's number one. Number two, what skills have I acquired that can be transferred to another industry? And then number three, it's understanding that when you implement your skills, you actually don't go and seek employment, you shift to deployment, because employment is a job, deployment is work. So I deploy my skills into work that matters.
I love that. Looking at my own experience and actually experiencing your presentations, and they're more than presentations, that's just the word I'm using right now, but I look at the conversations that have come out of our company's time with you and others. So what are some of the greatest transformations that you've experienced through your work?
One of the incredible companies I worked with was a hospital system, had about 1,500 full-time employees, and they wanted to shift their entire culture to become more patient-centric. So we worked with them over 3 years. They implemented everything that we shared with them. We really invited them to put care back into healthcare. Well, that hospital system was acquired by another company. 2 days ago, I had dinner with the CEO who read the book, Shift Your Brilliance, implemented it into his company, and he said they've had a 40% increase in revenue because they focused on its understanding how to be, not just do. So those are just two quick examples of companies who followed our expertise.
I love that. Being will always speak louder than doing. So speaking of moving and really being in action, what is the Spark movement?
So the Spark movement is recognizing that customer service is a department, but customer love is a mindset. So everything that I've learned over the last 30 years, 6 different companies, 10 different jobs, I've worked with almost 2,000 organizations in 50 countries, is really understanding Spark starts with how do we see them as guests. The P is how do we personalize the experience. The A is how do we anticipate their needs. The R is how do we respond immediately. And the K is how do we keep them loyal with acts of kindness, thus becoming the spark for all the customers that we serve.
I love that. You know, one of the great things about this show is that we get to meet incredible people from all around the planet, and we get some tips and tricks right here on the show. So what are some steps that anyone can make today to maximize their potential?
Wow. First thing, think of 5 customers that you can write a handwritten note to, put a stamp on it, drop it in the mail. Secondly, what would it be like to go into LinkedIn and recommend someone who has recommended you, or surprise them and write a recommendation for them? The third thing, for those of you who work inside a business, go to your leader and ask your leader, what can I take off your plate that you don't like doing? The fourth thing, show up, be a part of a committee where they need an extra mind, some extra eyes, and begin to contribute, not so much for what you will get, but what you can give to the opportunity to help the organization and the business move forward.
So great. One of the things that I love about you, Simon, is that everything you do is in your DNA. Like, just so the audience knows, this isn't rehearsed. I mean, that's literally Simon, like, sharing from his DNA about what works. And I just love it. So you mentioned leaders just a second ago. So what are your thoughts on leadership post-COVID?
Wow. Well, the first thing to recognize is the job of a leader is not to motivate and inspire people through a mask to work harder. The job of a leader is to invite men and women on a journey to discover the leader within themselves while they're following you. So a leader can never take anyone to a place that they have not been themselves. Because leadership is caught and taught. So number one, are you willing to get vulnerable to say, you know what, this is how I'm going to be a better leader? Are you willing to understand that a leader doesn't tell, a leader will ask? Are you willing to become a leader that shifts from selective hearing to authentic listening and leading with empathy? The number one skill in Silicon Valley right now that they're teaching is empathy. How do I walk a mile in your shoes and you know that I care about you as a human being, not just a human doing? And that's a stark difference. So leaders have to show up and care, not because they have to, but because they really, really want to care during this time.
So great. And you talk about this time, and obviously you and I are conducting an interview digitally, virtually, whatever you want to say. And so a lot of people have been doing this exactly for the past year, working remote. So what are your thoughts on creating a positive culture when working remotely?
The first thing you have to do in creating a positive culture is to check in with everyone and say, how is everyone doing? All right, that's the first thing. The second thing, be totally open that if the doorbell rings, the dog barks, the child cries, it's okay. And a person doesn't have to feel penalized for trying to hide their life. It's totally fine. And then I think the third thing is taking time to virtually connect everyone together to say, what did we learn this week? How did we grow? Tell us your story. And here's why. Burnout, mental depression is very real. So when people are in an isolated environment and they don't have that connectivity, I like to say physical distancing, not social distancing. So when people have to practice physical distancing, there's a disconnect. So if they join online virtually, how intentional are we about, how's it going, John? What's happening with you?
I love that. We'll be right back with more from Simon and how to take your business from good to great. You're watching The Room. We're back with Simon T. Bailey, leader of the Spark movement. So, Simon, share with us your concept of from me to we.
So one of the things that I noticed when I got promoted into a leadership role at Disney is that I was a boss with an agenda instead of a leader with a vision. I was a jerk because it was all about my ego, edging goodness out. And what I recognized is that Disney invited me to be a leader who understood how to serve, give, not just take, and focus on me. So the greatest thing leaders can do right now is move from me to we by starting with, how can I help you be the best version of yourself while we work together?
So when you talk about being the best version, that's just play for a moment. I mean, when you're talking to somebody, are you following up questions? What's the interaction like?
So the first thing I would start with, John, you and I are in a dialogue. I am intentional about my eye contact because it's just not enough for me to hear you, but am I listening with my eyes, which means I'm listening with my heart. You're the most important person in the conversation. So I don't move my eyes to like chasing a squirrel to say, oh, that's the next person I need to connect with. I'm right here with you. The second thing I'll say is, John, I heard you say this. Is this what you meant? Because it is more important to be interested instead of interesting. And when you know that I'm dialed into you, I have shifted from me focus to we focus.
So what I heard you say was that it all really starts with eye contact. Is that right?
Correct.
I love that. So let's talk about some key questions for companies. So what are some key questions that companies should be asking themselves to understand how to truly love their customers and provide the ideal service experience?
Number one, are we taking care of our employees? Because employees don't leave companies, they leave managers who don't have a clue. So what is the employee experience? Because the employee experience creates the customer experience. So how are we treating our employees? Number one. Number two, what is it that we are offering our customers that they tell us we can improve on or make even better? Are we following through? And then the third thing is, it is important to think about the cluster of the customer journey instead of one interaction that might happen digitally, on a phone, online. How do we think about all the steps of that journey to make sure that the love is being implemented in every step, every day, in every way?
So then what's the difference between customer service and platinum service?
So when I first went to work at Disney, I came from an organization just 100 people. And what I learned at Disney is that platinum service was looking for that moment to own it and go above and beyond. So here's the example. If a parent is at Magic Kingdom and they have a child and they have ice cream and the ice cream hits the ground in the middle of July, you don't have time to say, I have to check with my manager to see if I can replace the ice cream cone. Platinum service is when I see it, I own it. Guess what, ma'am? I will replace that ice cream for you so that you can continue to have a platinum service moment. The customer service moment is like, oh, it's not my job. Too bad. Go talk to a manager. Have a nice day.
So your example there is great, and I'm not, 7 years old, and I don't have an ice cream cone. So what are some of the best ways to create platinum service now and following the pandemic?
I was just working with an organization that is all about pets. And one of the things that they did is they had a customer that called in to say, hey, I got my monthly food subscription, but my pet actually died. And the person on the other end of the line said, guess what, ma'am? We will credit back your account. We apologize that you lost your dog, and we ask that you would donate the food to a pet shelter. Well, she thought that was the end of the transaction. The next day, the doorbell rings, and there's a guy standing outside her door with a bouquet of flowers and a sympathy card from Chewy.com, because they understood that during this time, it is important to focus on building a relationship, not just a transaction. Because when you sell, that's a transaction. But when you connect, that's a relationship.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you're kind of moving now into an area of customer engagement. So what are your thoughts on customer engagement with brands and creating loyal customers more than the story that you just shared?
Yeah, so all the research says right now, customers will trust brands based on how they've shown up over the last year. How empathetic have they been? How have they gone out of their way to work with the customer? I was dealing with a wireless company a couple of weeks ago, and they had a customer call and said, listen, I lost my job. I don't know how I'm going to pay my bill. And because that person had been trained in the spirit of empathy, they said, here's what we can do instead of what we can't do. But they dig a little deeper and they found out that it was around the holidays, and they decided that they would send a Christmas tree to this customer and give her a Walmart gift card so her and her family can eat during the holidays. So what they did, not only did they hear the problem, they said, what else can we do to go above and beyond? That is moving from customer service to human service, to understanding human beings, meeting them right where they are.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you brought up empathy and started to to kind of crack that code a little bit. And for me, empathy and transparency seem to arise mutually. So, what is the power of transparency from brands with their customers, especially now?
So the thing that brands have to be very aware of is that we have some customers who may want to take advantage of a situation. So transparency says, here's what we can do, and here's why we will do it, and that's it. So that you protect the integrity of your brand and customers don't feel like that they can get over on those brands. So transparency is being authentic and honest upfront to do the best you can so that you move forward together.
We're having an incredible conversation with Simon T. Bailey. More with Simon after this break. You're watching In the Room. Welcome back. We're talking with Simon T. Bailey, leader of the Spark movement. Every week on The Room, we're going to ask our guests the same 5 questions. Now, Simon, as someone who is teaching others how to provide an experience for their customers, we hope that you'll appreciate how we're facilitating an experience for our audience around your insights. Are you ready for your questions?
Let's go.
All right, question number 1. What do you see as the biggest opportunities that businesses aren't taking advantage of in the world today?
Probably the biggest opportunity is to get involved with some of the social situations that are happening. Food insecurity, economic insecurity. How are we ensuring that as kids go back to school, they may have missed an entire year? How do corporations literally create a triple bottom line? Shareholders make money, company makes money, but then the community is positively impacted. That's the greatest opportunity that businesses have right now. How can I leave an emotional tattoo, positive, on the city and state that we do business in?
So great. Number 2, if you could have a conversation with one person from any time or anywhere, who would it be?
Mother Teresa. I would literally ask her what really moved her to help the least, the last, the lost, and the often forgotten.
My favorite quote from Mother Teresa is, prayer without action is no prayer at all. So,
wow.
Perfect person. Question number 3, what is one book every person in business should read and why?
Oh my goodness. Well, as you see, I have a list here. But the one book I would probably get is Synchronicity, The Inner Path of Leadership, written by Joe Jaworski. Joe Jaworski was the son of Leon Jaworski, who was special prosecutor during Watergate. Very, very insightful.
Question number 4, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Wow. Not all money is good money. Everybody wants to chase after the deal. No. Not all money is good money. There's some things you have to walk away from to remain in a place of integrity.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We're going to make you a shirt here at the room, and we're gonna start selling that shirt with your quote. Are you okay with that?
Fine, just send me a little piece of the cut.
Okay, all right. But remember, not all money is good money. But in this case, it's good. It's good.
But I am a capitalist at heart.
All right. Question number 5. Why is a conversation better than a lecture?
Because a conversation moves from monologue to dialogue. When I understand the power of dialogue, it's not so much what I'm saying, but it's about what we are learning together in the context of psychological safety. So in other words, when I share and when you share, I'm learning twice, because I'm learning, but then I'm learning as I listen to you.
Absolutely. If you've never met Simon before today, I really invite you to get related to Simon, whether you connect with him through the website, through LinkedIn, however you do it. Simon is somebody that you really definitely want in your life, and I feel very fortunate to have had many opportunities to interact with Simon. So Simon T. Bailey, thank you for being a guest on The Room and sharing your thoughts and insights. What would you like to leave us with today?
Life is tough, but so are you. Come to a place of radical intentionality where you decide that love and respect have no color.
Fantastic. Simon T. Bailey, thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Join us next week when our guest will be Jack Aldrich, a leading futurist, author, and speaker. Jack assists organizations to achieve the critical foresight they need to create successful futures. I'm John Lanius. We'll see you next time on The Room.